I'm Jeremy. Today is day 85 of reading. Today we're reading Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. On page 142. Couldn't help feeling a bit sorry for him, though not nearly as sorry as he felt from himself. If Dumbledore believed Filch, he would be expelled for sure. Dumbledore was now muttering strange words under his breath, and tapping Mrs. Norris was his wand, but nothing happened. She continued to look as though she had been recently stumped. I remember something very similar happening at Orgadugo, said Lockhart. A series of attacks. The full story is in my autobiography. I was able to provide the townsfolk with various amulets, which cleared up the matter at once. The photographs of Lockhart on the walls were all nodding in agreement as he talked. One of them had forgotten to remove his hairnet. At last, Dumbledore straightened up. She's not dead, Argus, she said softly. Lockhart stopped abruptly in the middle of counting number of murders he had prevented. Not dead? Choked Filch, looking through his fingers at Mrs. Norris. But why is she all stiff and frozen? She has been petrified, said Dumbledore. Ah, I thought so, said Lockhart. But how? I cannot say. Ask him, shrieked Filch, turning his blotched and tear-stained face to Harry. No second year could have done this, said Dumbledore firmly. It would take dark magic of the most advanced. He did it, Filch spat, his pouchy face purpling. You saw what he wrote on the wall. He found in my office. He knows I'm a Filch's face worked horribly. He knows I'm a squib, he finished. I never touched Mrs. Norris, Harry said loudly, uncomfortably aware of everyone looking at him, including all Lockhart's on the wall. I don't even know what a squib is. Rubbish, snarled Filch. He saw my quick-spelled letter. If I may speak, Headmaster, said Snape from the shadows, and Harry's sense of foreboding increased. He was sure nothing Snape had to say was going to do him any good. Potter and his friends may have simply been in the wrong place at the wrong time, he said, a slight sneer curling at his mouth as though he doubted it. But we do have a set of suspicious circumstances here. Why is he in the upstairs corridor at all? Why wasn't he at the Halloween feast? Harry, Ron, and Hermione all launched into an explanation about the Death Day party. There were hundreds of ghosts they'll tell we were there. But why not join the feast afterwards? Said Snape, his black eyes glittering in the candlelight. Why go up that corridor? Ron and Hermione looked at Harry. Because, Harry said, his heart thumping very fast. Something told him it would sound very far-fetched if he told them he had been led there by a bodiless voice no one but he could hear. Because we were tired and wanted to go to bed, he said. Without any supper? Said Snape, a triumphant smile flickering across his gaunt face. I don't think ghosts provided food fit for living people at their parties. We weren't hungry, said Ron loudly as his stomach gave a large rumble. Snape's nasty smile widened. I suggest, Headmaster, that Potter's not being entirely truthful. He said, it might be a good idea if he were deprived of certain privileges until he was ready to tell us the whole story. I personally feel like he should be taken off the Scrivener Quidditch team until he is ready to be honest. Really, Severus? Said Professor McGonagall sharply. I see no reason to stop the boy playing Quidditch. This cat wasn't hit over the head with a broomstick. There's also no evidence at all that Potter has done everything wrong. Dumbledore was giving Harry a searching look. His twinkling light blue eyes made Harry feel as though he were being x-rayed. Innocent until proven guilty, Severus, he said firmly. Snape looked furious. So did Filch. My cat has been petrified, he shrieked, his eyes popping. I want to see some punishment. We'll be able to cure her, Argus, said Dumbledore patiently. Professor Sprout recently managed to procure some mandrakes. As soon as they have reached their full size, I will have a potion made that will revive Mrs. Norris. I'll make it, Lockhart butted in. I must have done it 100 times. I could whip up a mandrake restorative drop in my sleep. Excuse me, said Snape icily, but I believe I am the potions master at this school. There was a very awkward pause. You may go, Dumbledore said to Harry, Ron, and Hermione. They went as quickly as they could without actually running. When they were a floor up from Lockhart's office, they turned into an empty classroom and closed the door quietly behind them. Harry squinted at his friends' darkened faces. Do you think I should have told them about the voice I heard? No, said Ron without hesitation. Hearing voices no one else can hear isn't a good sign, even in the wizarding world. Something in Ron's voice made Harry ask, You do believe me, don't you? Of course I do, said Ron quickly, but you must admit, it's weird. I know it's weird, said Harry. The whole thing's weird. What was that writing on the wall about the chamber has been opened? What's that supposed to mean? You know, it rings a sort of bell, said Ron slowly. I think someone told me a story about a secret chamber at Hogwarts once. Might have been a bill. And what on earth's a squib? Said Harry. To his surprise, Ron stifled a snigger. Well, it's not funny, really, but it's Filch, he said. A squib is someone who was born into a wizarding family but hasn't got any magic powers. Kind of the opposite of muggle-born wizards, but squibs are quite unusual. If Filch is trying to learn magic from a Quick spell course, I reckon he must be a squib. It would explain a lot, like why he hates students so much. Ron gave a satisfied smile. He's bitter. A clock chimed somewhere. Midnight, said Harry. We'd better get to bed before Snape comes along and tries to frame us for something else. For a few days, the school could talk of little else but the attack on Mrs. Norris. Filch kept it fresh in everyone's minds by pacing at the spot where she had been attacked, even though he thought the attacker might come back. He had seen him scrubbing the message on the wall with Mrs. Scour's all-purpose magical mess remover. By no effect. The words still gleamed as brightly as ever on stone. When Filch wasn't guarding the scene of the crime, he was skulking red-eyed through the corridors, lunging out at unsuspecting students and trying to put them in detention for things like breathing loudly and looking happy. Penny Weasley seemed really disturbed by Mrs. Norris's fate. According to Ron, she was a great cat lover. But you haven't really got to know Mrs. Norris, Ron told her bracingly. Honestly, we're much better off without her. Ginny's lip trembled. Stuff like this doesn't often happen at Hogwarts, Ron assured her. They'll catch the maniac who did it and have him out of here in no time. I just hope he's got time to petrify Filch before he's expelled. I'm only joking, Ron added hastily as Ginny blanched. The attack also had an effect on Hermione. It was quite usual for Hermione to spend a lot of time reading, but she was almost now doing nothing else. Nor could Harry and Ron get much response from her when they asked her what she was up to, and not until the following Wednesday did they fall out. When did they find out? Harry had been held back in potions, where Snape had made him stay behind to scrape two worms off desks. After a hurried lunch, he went upstairs to meet Ron in the library and saw Justin Finch Fletchley, a Hufflepuff boy from herbology, coming. Thank you, everyone. That's all for today. Bye. See you tomorrow.